let's go to his next one.
Okay.
The second thing that changed my mind was the day of Pentecost. Two things happened on that day. We know the first day of the church is its birth, is the church at its best. On that day, at Pentecost, we know women were in the upper room. We know women were filled with the Holy Spirit. We know that women were preaching in languages that other people couldn't hear to a mixed audience. We know women. It wasn't just men. Women were preaching on the day of Pentecost. How do we know that? Because Peter felt obligated to explain it. And so in Acts chapter 2, verses 17 and 18, he goes, hey, guys, these people aren't drunk. What you're seeing was foretold by Joel. It was going to happen. And he said, and so he explains why you're now seeing women preaching on the very first day of the church. He explains it. And he says, this is that Joel predicted. And here's what he says. In the last days, and clearly that means Peter thought the last days began with the birth of the church. We're in the latter of the last days now. We don't know how many more there will be, but the last days began with the birth of the church. Peter says, in the last days, I will pour out my spirit on all flesh. All flesh. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. That's different than the Old Testament.
Yeah, but again, this is a case of evangelism in the middle of the streets of Jerusalem, right? Where men and women are both prophesying, they're both speaking in tongues, and they're both proclaiming the good news or whatever before it gets, honed in on Peter's sermon. As an egalitarian, I have to remind you that that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about
even as an egalitarian,
yes,
you have to remind us.
Yeah. That passage does not have anything to do with offices in the local church congregation. And that's what the SBC is saying is specifically for women. And so they're going to tell you egalitarians, you try to use that verse to say women can be pastors and hold the office of pastor or elder in a local church using something that, an instance of street evangelism, I don't think is going to be convincing to anyone.
To preach is to proclaim the truth.
Yes.
And women go around proclaiming the truth all the time. So let's take a look at the poll real quick, Pritchett.
Okay.
Let's see how we're doing. Should Rick Warren appeal Saddleback's disfellowship from the SBC? 82% say no. That's our position, right?
Yeah.
17% say yes. That's not our position, right?
Right.
So 17% of people out of, what is this? We got 40 votes. So
yeah.
Maybe I don't know if you can change your vote, but if we've convinced you, or if we've made you, if you started out thinking he should not appeal, but we've actually said some things that worked against us, and now you think he definitely should appeal, well, change your vote. Whatever you want to do. We want to see where this goes.
Right.